Good morning, everybody. My name is John Newman, Sports Card Nation. It's time for another edition, however, of Hobby Hotline, the last one before the National, which we're going to talk about, as well as Fanatics Fest. I'm happy to be joined this morning, going clockwise. Victor Roman in the
Morning,
top
John.
right.
Morning, Alex. Morning, chat. We're going back to back here, John. You and I. Let's do it.
Yeah. And then Alex Tressler, Army ATC 22, only below us on screen, as I always say. We were going to talk about the Fanatics Fest and obviously the National, but we have breaking news. There we go. The breaking news. LeBron James has signed with the 76ers of Philadelphia, spurning his hometown team of Cleveland. And Miami, where he used to play. The rumor that was really looking like he was going back to Miami, but not so fast, my friends, as Lee Corso would say. He's going to Philly. So we're going to talk about this the whole hour instead of the other two things. No, I'm kidding, but I'm not a huge basketball guy, but I know it. Like I follow it just from being in the hobby, a dealer. It is big news. I mean, it is LeBron James, but he is on, whether you agree with it or not, I believe he's on sort of the back. I mean, he's coming down the home stretch here, whether this is his last year or next year. He's not this. And again, that's not his fault. Father Time gets us all. He's not the same player he was, 10 years ago, but he can still contribute. I guess the short way to ask this question is, does this make the Sixers better, a contender? No big deal. It's just the name. The name is more than the contributions. Whoever wants to go first here, what do you see this move as?
Go ahead, Alex.
So I want you guys to name one person that's coming off the bench for the Sixers. Everyone can name the starting five. Who can name someone coming off the bench?
I want to drink my coffee right here.
I think that's going to be the main problem, right, of that team. Unless they sign some, key players to come off the bench for super cheap and everything. They have an all-star lineup, period, right? Hey, he is who he is. Doesn't matter his age and everything else. I believe that he still puts in the work, and he's one of the top people in the league, period, right?
There you go. There's from the chat room, Anthony.
There you go. So that's the only one that I would have been able to actually name, which he's a former all-star himself too.
Yep. What do you think, Victor?
Man, this is big stuff. A little bit of drama, I think, with the Jaylen Brown trade that the Celtics kind of let him go there. But for those who don't know, let's review the starting lineup, the potential starting lineup for the Sixers. You're going to have Tyrese Maxey, right? VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, LeBron James, and Joel Embiid. I think
when healthy.
When healthy, it's going to be the key with Embiid and James, right? That's kind of as they get older, and Embiid seems to be injured at least half the season. But I found it. Speaking of the bench, you have Anthony Simmons is your number one guy. Dean Wade, Justin Edwards, Jabari Walker, Adam Bona, Ariel Huckporty, and LeBaron Fillon. I don't know half those guys, but interesting on the contract I found with James, where he signed for league minimum for a veteran, which was like $4 million, I think it was. I thought that was he was at the Lakers for $50 million, and then he takes a pay cut for $4 million. And my answer was, why didn't you just take a pay cut and stay with the Lakers? I would just wish that his legacy would have finished, with the Laker uniform or the Cleveland Cavalier uniform. But now he's going now to what appears allegedly pursuing another super team. That's he wants to win. And I know he was quoted recently on NBA.com. Let me find the quote. He wrote, "This is my last decision. I'm not going for money. I'm not going for family. I still want to compete to win." So that was penned by LeBron himself, and it's going to be exciting. I think it makes them an automatic contending team in the East, and that's going to be interesting with the Knicks there. I can't wait to see that first matchup. But here we go. I'm ready for the NBA season already.
And listen, I know I bagged on it a little bit in my intro there, but listen, this Sixers team beat the Celtics in the playoffs. And then what did the Celtics do? They basically hand them Jaylen Brown, who they lost with, and then they just made Philly stronger. So that was a financial move more than anything else. That most will tell you that. My favorite part of this, Victor and Alex, is I can't wait to see all the Philadelphia 76er rookie LeBron James cards. You know, whenever he's changed teams, like the first card is his. Yeah. You know, when he went to Miami, you know, it was the Miami Heat LeBron James rookie. When he went to the Lakers, it was the Lakers LeBron rookie. So now we're going to get a Sixers LeBron rookie in his 20th something year of being in the league. And so when you
first card, John, first card.
I knew I was goating you out of that one, Vic. But you know how this goes every
yeah,
time.
I think they came out with a Tops Now card already, and there's a super of him with it. So all I got to say, you know, we are going to talk about the National, and, you know, Joe, who runs the National and runs the Philly show. Joe, you're on the clock. You got to get LeBron as an autograph signer for the Philly show down the road now. So just saying.
Yeah, I heard the Tops had they kind of like broke the news with the 76ers, didn't they? They were like the first ones to.
It was primed and ready because he already signed that card with them. Like that was pre-signed. He already knew where he was going, but he told them to hold off and post it. So they had it queued up waiting, and as soon as the announcement broke, Tops dropped it.
Interesting.
All right, guys, we could talk basketball for, you know, another 50 minutes if we want. I'm not looking to do that, but you know, listen, it is all, you know, I know I jest, but it is a big deal. It's LeBron James, first ballot Hall of Famer, arguably one of the greatest players of all time. Or if you ask him, I think he'd say he is. But we're going to move on. We got, you know, we just finished a big event that Alex attended. Me and Victor weren't there. We kind of followed it through other people's eyes, including Alex here. And then we got the National coming up here in a few days. These two events often get compared to each other. Most will tell you that they're really sort of two different events, if you will. And I kind of agree. Without going to the Fanatics Fest, I can't speak on that. We're gonna acquiesce to Alex here, but there's the Fanatics Fest, as Alex would say, the standard slide. It's in my hometown. It's in my hometown of New York City. Somehow I haven't been yet. I'd like to go at some point. You know, it is like it's in, I do, and I still have some family there. It's only 250 miles. It seems whenever it is, I have something else that prevents me from making it there. This year too, with it seems like it's closer to the National than the past year, so that made it even another, you know.
Well, good thing next year they're moving it back to June next year, John. So you can put
okay. All right, I'm gonna try to get there, even if it's for a day or two, even if it's one of those where I take a train in. You know, listen, I'm from New York. I know how this goes. Traffic can be bad. Parking can be bad.
Yes.
But you know, it is my hometown. It is a hobby event. So enough for me, who's not been there at least yet. We'll shoot for 2027. You know, Alex, you know, when you hear the comment like, oh, you know, Fanatics Fest is trying to replace the National or be better or beat the National, you know, what, as someone who's been to both, you know, how do you see that?
Yeah, it's what you said in the beginning. Like, they're two separate entities, right? You know, and what's great about it is, you know, Michael Rubin and Fanatics at the same time as the whole board and everybody with the national, they're all giving praises to each other, like, because they feed off each other. They're helping each other out.
Mhm.
Fanatics Fest is exactly what they made it wanted. When Michael Rubin took over the whole thing, the whole collectible space, he said he wanted a sports Comic-Con, pretty much what it was. And that's what it is. If you think of a sport, if you think of anything, it is there. That's why I say it doesn't matter if you're in this hobby, if you're not, or whatever. You need to try to attend it once and just see it for yourself, right? You can see the pictures and videos and hear people talk about it all day long, like I'm doing right now. But to actually see it in person and to kind of understand, what's going on, is just incredible. The amount of stuff that's inside this one area at the Javits Center is just remarkable. So Javits Center is the same place they do the New York Comic-Con also. That'll happen a few months from now. Yep. But the great part about it for us who love collectibles, smack dab in the middle of it is a mini card show, pretty much. The same individuals that go around the country to all the big shows and everything else. Hobby shops from around the country are there selling, trading, buying cards. And I don't know if I talked to one vendor there that has had over the last 3 years a bad time or a bad show at Fanatics Fest. Everyone knows the cost is astronomical because of the booth price, having to travel there for your hotel and everything else. And if you bring more than one person, like, you're paying for all their ways and everything else. Like, there is a big amount that goes into being a vendor at Fanatics Fest. And every single person, and you can see the people online, Tyler Santiago Sports, Kyle King Cards, Card Collector 2, all those individuals that are massive on social media, that are posting all their stuff, and you hear it from them, like, they'll tell you, like, they have some of the best shows ever, like that Thursday, the first day, because they made it 4 days instead of 3 days this year, of that festival. Because you got to think, this is the analogy that I bring into play for the difference between the National and Fanatics Fest, dealing with the hobby, the aspect, right? The card aspect. The amount of people, they said, I think around 200,000 went to Fanatics Fest this year. Say the same amount goes to the National, which it is, and like probably a little bit more actually. What is the percentage of individuals that go to Fanatics Fest for cards compared to the percentage that go to the National for cards? That tells you the difference for the hobby aspect of, between the two. I always say the card aspect for Fanatics Fest is probably the collectible space, I should say, is probably close to like 30% of those 200,000 came for the cards, right? I mean, that's a respectable number. The percentage for the National is understandable. It's probably in the high 90s. Not everyone's coming for the cards. You do have the TriStar area, right? Trying to get autographs and stuff and everything else. But it's night and day difference when you come to this. And that's why everyone starts saying, like, the Fanatics Fest is going to try to take over the National. But when the National then rolls around, they're like, oh, hold on a second. This line's out around the convention center right now on a Thursday. Like, yeah, we're going to be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, were you set up as a dealer or media or what?
No, so I was not sent. I've never set up as a dealer at Fanatics Fest. I go and walk and have fun. I do, since I do social media stuff, I did do some media stuff for Fanatics. And I also helped with Sports Cards Nonsense downstairs in the collector's the card combine that Fanatics Collect had downstairs. Okay. They had a nice activation that introduced you to the hobby, to card collecting, where you came in, they gave you a pack of cards and you can go around. There was hobby shops that had, upstairs on the show floor, hundreds to $1,000 cards, right? Downstairs was entry level type of stuff, dollar boxes, slabs that were $5 to $10 from these few hobby shops and stuff that were down there. So we got to really understand the aspect of it at, that lower level, and everything. And there's a little breaking studio. People were doing giveaways to the people that were coming by. And then Fanatics Collect had their instant rips where you're able to scan and get a free instant rip. So they're trying to hit all angles of everything that you can do with pretty much Fanatics.
Yeah. And I would say, Alex, if you can, your sphere of influence that you have. I just, from what I was very tentative that weekend on social media because I wanted to take in all the information about Fanatics I could. But it seems like on the media side of things, it's like just about everything is 5-figure cards. That's all we're really seeing, talking about, bragging about, however you want to view it. And it's just like, man, what about what about us who don't have 7-figure bank accounts?
Yes.
Can we share a $500 card maybe? What?
Well, speak for yourself, Victor. I'm kidding.
No, he makes one of the points that I've always said about social media. And this is the reason why a lot of my content, I don't do transactional stuff. I don't like doing videos about, the deals and stuff. That's why I want to talk about the stories, how they got that card, or a connection from, family passing stuff down and everything, because I call it the false hope out there, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone sees those huge cards and then they run to Target, Walmart, whatever, and they think they can hit those cards out of blasters or megas, and you can't, right? That's the false hope in this industry and social media, and I've always had a problem with that, and I would, and luckily we do have some social media people that are pretty big out there that do talk about the value boxes, the start, trying to dig and find those values and stuff and everything, and I'm glad to see that, but majority of the stuff that do get highlighted are those $1 million sales, the dual gold logo mans of, Otani and everything else like that.
So as you were like boots on the ground, what was your take? Was there low end stuff there? And what's the percentage you think?
There was, because over, everyone's evolving, like especially the vendors that are set up there. They have their big cards because there's some big whales in the room. But they also understand the cost that it takes to be in New York City. On top of the World Cup ending in Jersey, technically it's not, New York City, that Sunday also, the ESPYs being in town, the Dodgers coming in town to play the Yankees. There's so much stuff that was happening that weekend. So everyone knows that money's starting to, wear thin. So they know majority of these vendors, they set up around the world, and they know the sweet spot is that I'd say $25 to $200 range, because the middleman, the individuals that run this country, the everyday working man, they don't want to spend their whole paycheck on one card, but they will spend a few $100s on a card if they need to. Right. So there was still a decent amount of that was out there.
Okay.
A couple comments here. One from our very own Tony. He says, I heard from people who attended, it said 95% of Fanatics Fest was staged celebrity purchases. Many influencers were compensated or treated well to give favorable reviews. Overpriced picks with athletes. Some of that, is there some truth and semblance to that, in your opinion, Alex?
Well, I know I didn't get paid anything to say anything, so I'm not on that level. No, I did get to see a few interactions, of individuals walking around and doing dealings with the vendors and stuff, and I never saw anything staged. One that everyone's talking about is the
Brady.
Card Collector 2 King of Cards, literally that the trades with the Brady and stuff like that or whatever. I never saw anything really staged. We had lovely Jason Sudeikis. He was walking around, and I'm going to tell you right now, Ted Lasso walking around the show floor was probably the highlight of the whole thing. And what people don't know, he was there every day with his kids, walking around, talking, everyone, taking pictures. I was able to take a picture with him at the trade night. He actually left some of the days to go film something and came back. Like he really, Seth Meyers walking around. Like I grew up watching Saturday Night Live, right? And seeing these individuals walking the show floor and being humble and everything. And there was like a few other wrestlers. The wrestlers are, by the way, some of the best entertainer pro athletes that are out there, because they just love their fans. They were going to the table. You'll see some of the videos and stuff like that or whatever in between the interactions. But all those cards in front of them, I saw cash being handed back and forth and everything when they take the cards and stuff like that. So I didn't see any of that stuff. And if it happened, it kind of sucks if it did.
And a couple interesting facts about Jason. And it was a few days prior to Fanatics Fest. He was at local card show here in Valparaiso, Indiana. He stopped by their shop, and then he came back a second day. He came back again, the sports card shop with Rex. We're on the TV screen, so say hello to everybody at the shop. But he stopped in to check them out there. So he's been making the rounds, and it seems like he's really got the hobby bug. And I thought that's pretty cool too.
So the next comment underneath that, Trae Young ripping up a Brunson jersey was staged. Of course, he was part of the Fanatics games, and the first thing that you do is your WWE entrance. And of course, you want to get the fans going. Him used to be a Hawk, right? He's ripping up the home team. He's trying to get that pop and that buzz. That's the reason why he did that. Of course, it was staged, but that was his act, like he was walking like a WWE wrestler.
Interesting.
Here's what what I hope to see. All right, Sudeikis, Seth Meyers, others that were at Fanatics Fest. I'll give them a pass too, because it is in New York, which is a big, obviously, they shoot a lot of shows there, movies there. A lot of these celebrities live there. I'm hoping to see some of this in Chicago at the National too. If these folks are, now I know they're busy and they have schedules busier than even ours are, but if they're real card collectors, right, this is the Super Bowl of the hobby in the National. Like we just said, these are two different events. So if they really are card collectors, it's 5 or 6 days long. If they can be there even for a day or two, then I'll be more sold. Not that they have to sell me, like who the heck am I, but I'd be more like, hey, these guys really do collect cards, and they're celebrities as well. So it's not.
I can't confirm or deny if some of those will be at the National. So
yeah, and this one, Tony's bringing this up. Brady, slapping Paul. It was WWE type stuff. I'm not necessarily a big fan of that, but people eat that stuff up, right? Ratings sell. That is something a kid watching that isn't gonna say probably the same thing I would, where like that's kind of goofy and cheesy. You're gonna be like, that's cool. Did you see Tom Brady?
This is continuing with their feud that they had during the flag football tournament. Logan Paul was talking smack on Brady and stuff. This is like in continuation. Eventually, they believed for Brady is going to go wrestle just like the rest of the athletes and stuff do to do something fun with WWE since the connection. But yeah, that's a continuation from all of that.
Yeah, and I thought it was cringe too, but as John stated, under the context of the WWE, okay, it's like I get it. Okay, I can live with it.
Yeah, and again, there's a comment. Let me try to find it because I want to be accurate, and I agree with this comment. It's from Scott. Here it is.
Chat is active today. I love it.
Yeah. Fanatics Fest is the NFL experience, the Major League Baseball All-Star Fan Fest, and the NBA Jam Session on steroids. Great entertainment with an average card show. Alex, do you agree with that take as someone who's been there?
I 100% agree. I wouldn't say it's an average card show because the cards that are in that room are above average. A good percentage of them are above average cards, right? So a lot of people were. I got the question since a lot of people do know that I go to the National and everything I do with them is asking me about the National at Fanatics Fest. They're like, hey, this is going to be my first time going. What are some tips? What's the experience going to be like? And I told everyone, I'm like, take this whole room, take the whole Javits Center, take all the corporate down. Now you're going to leave some up, whatever, for Topps and Panini and all those other individuals that are there, but put all card tables across the whole Javits Center. There's your National. And they're like, really? I'm like, yes. All these would be tables of cards and vendors from around the world, really around the world. So, But the good thing about Fanatics Fest, right? It's more than that, an average card show. Like you have, I mean, they partnered, of course, Fanatics partnered with CGC. CGC had their 3 big cards that they had on display. Like, 3 of the most iconic cards out there, the FrankenWagner that they just graded, the Mansell, and the Wayne Gretzky that was signed. So it was cool seeing that type of stuff also.
Yeah. And we talked before we went live about what's being labeled as the FrankenWagner. Kind of got that title. And, Victor, you watched some content where, it's being called restored, authentic restored by CGC, when they're, by their own definition, you told us like it should be altered, authentic altered. That's how SGC, if SGC would have graded it, I'm pretty sure that's what it would have got from SGC and probably other graders. We don't to my knowledge, we don't officially acknowledge restoration in the sports card hobby. Maybe in the art world, in the comic book world, and maybe in other industries or hobbies, but not yet really. Like it's known that it happens. We're not naive, but we don't. I think on the grading level, we don't really recognize that, and yet here, CGC has labeled that card, authentic restored, when maybe, according, and I'll let you explain it even better.
Yeah.
To you, it's authentic altered, and I feel the same way. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I was on I typically watch a live episode on every Friday night. It's because I'm Carlos. I friends with a couple of the guys there, and we got into a discussion last night about this card, and I started doing some research on it, and we were discussing what kind of designation should have been given on there, because they put restored, authentic. And so there was a lot of debate in the chat about it. And so I jumped online and I started looking up. I wanted to know what was CGC's definition of authentic and restored, because I think they're the grading company. I think that is the best definition to go by. And to me, definition of words is a big deal. And PSA's definition of authentic and CGC's might be different. So I wanted to get it straight from the horse's mouth. I went to the CGC website and I found a link called Sports Card Glossary for CGC on CGC's website. And for authentic, the definition, according to CGC, doesn't fit. Now, the definition of authentic altered definitely fit as a proper designation for that card. So why they went with authentic instead of the AA designation, I don't know. But I would hope that maybe we can get some kind of explanation on that. Also,
I can give you one. And because let's be real, right? Does restored sounds better than altered?
Yeah.
Just the term altered means it's been messed with, right?
But that's what the card was. It was messed with.
Like a beneficial, like, hey, we restored the community park. It was getting decrepit, and we restored the park. We put new flowers in and hedges and the playground. We restored it. It sounds better than, hey, we altered the park. So, right? Well, that's same for the cards.
Yeah. I wanted to look, because they had a lot of definitions. So I wanted to look at the word restored, what their definition of that word is. There was no definition for that word, but there was one for altered. And when you break down their definition of altered, it dealt with trimming, coloring, and, all of the attributes that they gave that definition apply to this FrankenWagner card. So it's like, I don't know, to me, and it may just be semantics, but I think when we're dealing with $1 million card plus, I think that those little details matter. And I think an AA designation for authentic altered, and instead of using the word restored, we can put restored altered, or just change it to altered, because by definition, through and through, that's what that card is.
Yeah, here's a comment from Brad who says, hey, the beauty of the hobby is each individual chooses their lane. Who cares the terminology? Someone wants an incredible looking Wagner to own, and they're going to have it. And you know what? He's not really wrong, right? Someone is going to pay a lot of dollars to win this card in the auction, and they want it, right? It's me and Tony talked about this on during Hobby Palooza. I rather own a low grade, not altered, not touched up, whatever word you want to use. And I'm not going to be, listen, I can't even afford that. So, but someone is going to pay for that. And so,
yeah,
and then you add in the fact that it was in Keith Olbermann's collection, and the people.
It's a great story, right? It really is. I just disagree with, terminology doesn't matter. And that's the problem with this hobby. We can take one word, and that one word has 6, 7, 8 different definitions, just depending on who you talk to. And I think words do matter, especially when you're an authentication company who deals with designations. And that's like those definitions are everything that their business stands on. So terminology is incredibly important.
All right. So
here's
I have
a question. Go ahead.
Being the content creator that I am, and I just had a vision. Victor is going to get all the pitchforks and freaking flames, and we're all going to it. We're going to the CJC booth at the National after going after the fucking FrankenWagner. Like, we're reenacting Frankenstein, literally with the true hobbyist that wants it to be changed.
You know what would be cool, and we can get a little Fanatics Fest vibe at the National, have someone dressed as Frankenstein near the FrankenWagner
with a chain of a Wagner kind of, that would be cool.
You just made it better, Victor. You just made my idea better. Here's a question, and definitely down Victor's alley, I believe. Do you think the terminology restored / altered, etc., will affect bidding at all? I think the bidders will know exactly what they're bidding on. I think bidders, if you're bidding what was over $1 million, you sure as hell better know what you're bidding on. Or I want to be you, where you can just throw millions of dollars away carelessly. So Sports Card CBA, you definitely know, right, if you're spending that kind of money. But I also think that what's on that flip could potentially affect what someone's willing to pay, right? Someone as crazy as it sounds, if it had said like from the Olbermann collection, to someone that might be a few more $100,000 that they're willing to go to add that to their inventory. So I do think what's on the flip does matter, right? It's aesthetics. It's like when you buy a house, right, and it has a nice fish, has a koi pond in it, right? It's going to be a little more attractive, or it just got painted or resided, whatever the happens on the front. I think the flip can be a selling point, how it's worded, or detriment, right? If that card said, altered, just altered, authentic altered, I think it still will sell. I'm not debating that, but maybe it brings a less, and when you're talking millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars,
I don't know,
a little less is still a lot of money. It's not like going from $100 to 80.
But then we're not telling the truth, man. Let's just call it what it is according to your own definition. Why is that wrong? It's not wrong.
Yeah,
I get it.
No, yes. And here's the question. Keith Olbermann, former ESPN host of his own show, huge card collector and historian as well. So,
Victor, you just got to ask CGC in person at the National.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Go right at
it.
Yeah.
So here's this one's from Abe in Vegas. Should it have been AA, authentic altered? So that's kind of what we're discussing, right?
Their definition of altered covers the restoration side of it. It's anything colored or trimmed and there's another one in there. I forget what it is, but
is there any other? Is there any other cards that are actually tagged restored by them?
that's a good question. It's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right, we're putting a lot of emphasis on just the Wagner. Like, did they realistically roll out a new aspect of it? Probably not. They probably have others out there. I just have never seen one.
Mike Petty says it's only at $905,000 this morning.
Wow, it was at 790 last night. It was at 790.
I before I logged on, I jumped in a bid. So far
Thanks.
I'm holding strong. If I do win this, guys, I will be calling both of you up to we can conglomerate the purchase. Hopefully, I'll have to sell my house. I don't know where my wife's going to live. I'm sure I won't be living with her.
Apparently, I have a lot of money because people think I'm paid by Fanatics. But so I'll throw in a few hundred. I got you.
All right, that knocks it down a few hundred.
Dollars, not $100,000. Just let you know.
But I know. Every little bit helps.
There's hotels around the National aren't. Hey, the hotels around the National aren't cheap.
Yeah. People will buy the story of the card. That's true, and that's always been the case, and I get it. So
the Stuke's message right there, John, talking about the loan officers at the National. Yeah, go get a loan by Alt. Alt gives out a lot of money at card shows these days.
Yeah, I don't know. I have good credit though, so that will help me. Should I need to go down that route? So, and Carl from Australia, right? It's a good point right here. I'm honestly getting tired of all the $1 million plus cards. They're certainly not things I ever aspire and never will. I just hate it all being about the price, right? Again, like I've said on my shows, guys, and you guys know this, and probably most of the chat room, right? It's probably 2% of the hobby that really plays in that space, right?
And that's what gets.
But that's what people want. Some people want to hear about that all the time, and whether it's just like pipe dreaming or, hey, if I win the Mega Millions, I can start doing stuff like that. I don't know. I find it interesting, but there's also a limit, right? There's also a limit to everything. So it is what it is. Someone's going to buy it for, probably over $1 million. It's already, like Mike Petty said, at over 900K. So with plenty of time left. So that's going to cross the 7-figure mark. And I guess the question is how much past the 7-figure
way
mark.
Past. It was at 790 last night, 12 hours ago. It was at 790 and it's now at 905 and it still has like 13 days to go.
Yeah.
This is the third day of this auction.
So everyone, you have 13 days to go to scratch up what you got, sell off some assets, cash out your 401k, pay a little penalty, and be the proud owner of a formerly Keith Olbermann restored, authentic, honest Wagner card, if you will. And B Scap says, hey, it's less than 2% play in that rare airspace. It's probably true. Probably, the hobby's huge, so it's probably less than 2%. But so.
I think the more interesting thing is the bigger picture of the story of this card, I think, is going to be in the debate that is currently in the hobby about restoring cards or cleaning cards or trimming cards. There's so much debate. Now, this card, what is it going to say to that? Is restoration and cleaning cards becoming more accepted within the hobby? And I seem to think it is. When you read the comments of people who clean cards and that sort of thing, there seems to be an awful lot of support for this practice. And then we're going to see this FrankenWagner, what the final hammer price is going to be. I think it's becoming more and more accepted. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think I agree with you of being more accepted, because when it comes to these vintage cards, right? What's better? Eye appeal, right? So if you can restore it to make it look better, like that's what people want these days.
Yeah.
Yep. No, you're right, Victor. I think it is becoming more accepted, like it or not. I'm on the not side. I
Me
don't
too.
like that, but that's just I can only speak for myself, right? I think there's a trend now in the hobby where this is becoming more like, okay, I'm not opposed. I think people are changing their minds. Not me, but enough other people where it is a discussion. A lot of people don't, think that there's 10 commandments. There actually was 11. It ran out. Moses ran out of stone tablets, but the 11th was going to be this one: "Thou shalt not clean." Now, I think so no,
Dad joke.
and listen, I'm an old dad, so that's what you get. No, I'm like you, Victor. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's not my money going to be buying it, obviously. But I think there is I don't want to say a turning of the tide. I think that's maybe too strong, but I think there is people sort of going from one aisle, crossing over and going to the next. I'm just not
And
going to
John,
be
that's
that.
as old timers in the hobby, right? If we can call ourselves that, that's a tough
Yeah.
pill to swallow for an old timer, right? And
It is.
It really is. And so, but it's this, man, it's one of those things that we've been hearing for years, right? The hobby decides, right? And the hobby seems to be leaning towards it's okay. And
Yeah.
so that's a transition that we're going to have to start. I think if that being the case, I think there needs to be some kind of identification on that label that says that the card was restored or altered or whatever adjective they want to put on there. We need to identify that, and just that way, if you're for it or against it, you at least know what the card, what the deal is with the card.
All right, we'll kind of close it out and get to the national here. A couple quick comments. Orlando's pointing out that the non-restored, authentic, altered Wagner on Heritage is currently at 2.5 million. You know what I hope? One person buys both. That's
Nice.
that'd be funny.
That would be
so
epic.
Some rich person buys the Heritage Wagner, not restored, and also the CGC Wagner restored, and buys them both.
What a flex.
That would be
man, we haven't seen this card in decades. Now all of a sudden it seems like every other month we're seeing a Wagner now.
Yeah. What I don't want to say it's a fear, like I'm not fearful, but you make a point, Victor. I think what it does, it opens up that door to see more of this, because if it's become more acceptable, right? Why do we not do things? Because it won't be accepted, or I'll be looked at differently, right? If it's starting to be more acceptable, more people going to start doing it, because they won't be sort of the oddball. It'll be more mainstream than it ever was before. So I think the problem is now I don't want to say problem. I think what we're going to see now is more of this potentially occur with some iconic cards, right? Like you said, the hobby's going to decide. People are going to decide with their checkbooks and bank accounts what something's worth. I just, like you said, being an old school guy, 1979, I want the best condition card I can afford that's not been messed with, if that makes any sense. And I don't think that's going to change. Maybe it's me being stubborn, or like you said, old school. I'll wear both of those tags without shame. And number one, I couldn't afford these cards anyway, so I don't have to worry about it. But from a question standpoint, it's not something I would try to buy. But again, to each their own. All right, guys. There's another event coming up here in a couple days that the hobby's definitely familiar with, and it's being held in this building here, the Donald Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont. We will all be there for this event, not just Alex, but this is Victor's backyard. It's not for me, but I always make a point to try to go. And the one thing I wanted to ask Alex when we were talking about Fanatics Fest, Do you know how many dealer tables there were at Fanatics that were like for cards, trading cards? Do you know the number?
250 different vendors were there.
That's a small footprint. That's a very small footprint.
So it's not tables. You got to think. So some of them had like 6, 7 tables or whatever at the thing, but there's 250 separate, companies or people that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, man, that's smaller than a regional.
So you're looking, obviously the Nationals 4 figures and tables. They've expanded that now. Starting last year, they went to the second floor. I think that expansion continues. The main stage is being redone this year. We'll talk a little bit about that towards the end with something with this show. So it continues to evolve. I've heard other people kind of meld both of these topics together. There's some people that would like to claim that at some point Fanatics would like to acquire the National and own it and run it themselves. When early in the stages when Fanatics acquired Topps and was talking about getting in all these things, I jokingly said, like, maybe they'll buy the National and it'll be the Fanatical. And then that was even before Fanatics Fest was even a thing. They launched their own show. I mean, what are thoughts? You think that's something in their master plan, or they just comfortable doing what they do? Like the Fanatic, I read somewhere cost them like $90 million just to put that thing on. Again, you can't be bought unless you're selling. So the National could say, we're not for sale. Blank check or no blank check. But I've heard people talk about that. Whoever wants to, I hope it's not a case, but what say you guys?
You can go ahead, Victor.
I'm not a fan of that concept. I just think they both complement one another. Let's just leave it like that for now. And I think each is its own entity. Each has its own purpose. Why do they need to merge that? I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah, they're not going to. Like the Collector's Dream just posted, the National's a nonprofit, right? It has a board, has everything else. They're not selling. And on top of that, we talk about Fanatics having their hands in everything. The fact that I don't know if they would be fine working with all those other companies, honestly, at the National, because you don't see Panini, you don't see Leaf, you don't see those other individuals set up at Fanatics Fest, right? The fact that they would be in charge of it all, and those other, companies that are competitors, honestly, in their space, would be that. So I think that the word was out there that they did want to buy it. That is 100% true, but the National, they have no interest in selling to anybody because they just love doing it. Remember, the people that are running it, people are on the board, the people the 3 that are running it, they love this industry. They love being hobbyists. They love this stuff, and they'd rather just keep doing it the way they are than make some money.
Yeah, I'm with Victor. I hope that never happens. I like the National being the National, and I know that's nonprofit. There's a couple comments saying, come on, like they're, nonprofits can make money to a certain extent if they put the money back into the endeavor. There's all sorts of rules. A nonprofit can be sold. Like that, people think like that can't. It can be like the power can be transferred. So that's not a deal breaker as far as being a nonprofit. But I don't think it's going to happen. But I didn't think someone would ever own Topps other than the Shore family either. So you never say. One thing we've learned in the hobby, right? Never say never, because the minute you do, we got collectors that owns three to four major grading platforms.
But one of the things I do got to say about, you said you brought up the whole Fanatics Fest, 90 million to put the 80 to 90 million to put that together. 100%. As soon as you walked in, you could see it. You can see it from the signage, everything they have everywhere, right? So when you walk in, so many big, huge builds platforms and everything that's there, whatever. But you also got to look at the branding that's everywhere that probably paid towards that. AT&T was one of the main sponsors. They had multiple spots, whatever. From my understanding, I don't quote me on certain numbers. I think they paid like $20 million to be all over that individual. I mean, that's almost a quarter of it right there, right on top of everything else, right? So there's a lot of money that went in, and but the stuff that comes out, like you see a lot more. For another big difference between the two, Fanatics, has all the merch, big merch and stuff like that. The National has national merch. I'm wearing something from last year, of course, but they have all those other clothing lines on their Fanatics. That's one of the biggest areas of Fanatics Festival is the merch village. All the different shirts and everything else that they have over there. I mean, you're able to get Air Force Ones customized with game used jersey put over the Nike logo, like on station there. Like there was some cool activations and stuff like that. Or it was or they used like replica jerseys they put on there or whatever. So those type of things, Fanatics has their hand a lot more into because that's their business. The National, again, that goes back to they're there to host a collector's convention, not try to truthfully sell you stuff.
Right. And I do think the point about the how it looks, right, as soon as you walk in, I will admit, as a homer to the Chicago Convention Center, because it's only an hour away from me, but that doesn't include our 5th season out here, which is construction season. So that hour drive turns into 2-hour drive. But I do think that the convention center, and this is more on the convention center than it is on the Nationals board, is that the building is starting to feel a little dated. That it can use a fresh coat of paint, maybe some fresh panels somewhere. The decor can probably improve a little bit, and it'd be nice. At the very least, it's getting kind of like boring to look at the same ugly building all the time. You know what I'm saying? Outside, the aesthetics are nice, but inside, it's starting to show its age. But
yeah,
maybe maybe this year's the year that they're going to do something different.
Yeah, I like different cities, right? Like I'm looking forward to Detroit in 28. None against Chicago. Chicago's
I'm not.
Great. How far is Detroit?
I disagree.
How far is Detroit from where you are, Victor?
About 5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's 6 hours from me in central New York here, which is my sort of 6 to 7 hours. I'll drive to it. If you get past that 7, which Chicago is well past that 7, then I have to fly, rent a car. So my expense report goes up somewhat. Not somewhat, it goes up.
Mm-hmm.
And Detroit, I'll be able to drive to. So that I'm looking forward to that. I've never been to Detroit, where I've been to Chicago multiple times. Heck, I've been to Chicago even not for the National, just for other things. So I'm looking forward to new venues. I'm an East Coast guy, but like in fairness, like if I lived in California or Washington or Seattle or Nevada, the West Coast there, like it's always like, and I was a collector, or what I am now, I'd always have to go, way east, even to Chicago. It's not close for those folks, even though it's central located. I'm all for having like a West Coast National, even though it'll cost me more money to get there. I believe in fairness. So, if you're, and there's even talk of having like an overseas national, like a national in London someday. I don't know if I'll be able to get there. If it ever happens, then I'd have to crunch the numbers. But I'm a guy that likes to see it move around. I don't think it should be. It's going to be in Chicago for 3 straight years. So with next year's national there, I don't think it should be anywhere. This is not me bagging on Chicago. I don't think it should be in any city 3 straight years. I'll go 2. I'll agree with 2, but after that, I think it's got to move somewhere.
Then I'm gonna challenge you with this question then, because now what you're doing is shaking the foundation. Then, do you agree with the dealers voting and choosing where it's going to be?
Oh man, that's a good question. Here's what I'll say. I think they should have a say, right? They're the ones setting up. And
Without the dealers, you have nothing, man.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a guy. I think their say should be it should be a weighted percentage. So whether that's like 60%, 70%, whatever you agree on, and then I think the other percent, whatever it is, 30, 40%, should be like collector vote. And you put those two almost like the electoral college
Well,
in politics,
what
right?
I think is first off is, have they announced what they're voting on this year for 29?
I haven't heard if they have.
I haven't either. That's the reason why I'm asking. There's a few parts to this. If you look at the demographic of the vendors that set up at the National, where do you think the majority of them are at? They're in the Midwest. A good population of them are in the Midwest. I'm the same as you, John. I love traveling. Of course, everyone sees that because I go everywhere. But I love seeing the new cities. I've never been to Detroit, so I'm looking forward to that, right? What I think should happen, what would be pretty cool, have a little voting thing at the National this year out in the lobby with where would you like it to be? Let the people, the collectors coming through, have a little kiosk there. They'll iPad or something and put down what cities they would like to see the National in, and get a nice little poll going from the people that are coming to the actual, to the convention.
Yeah, logistics is a big deal too.
It's a huge deal, and I've been, I've sat down and they've told me the whole process of trying to decide what gets voted on. I mean, it starts off, they have all the cities, like they're like, we want all these places, and then they break down what city convention center is available during that week. That cuts them in half.
I like that. I mean, it could be, the dealers have a vote and they should carry the majority of the vote, but then there should be the people's vote. Yeah. And there should be maybe like, here are the cities where we possibly can have it.
Yeah.
And then let the people vote.
So you gotta go off of, they want to be all these cities. These are the only ones that are available during that week, right? Then they break down, okay, now how's the infrastructure there? Like, one of the things that I believe Vegas, it will never be in Vegas, is because the National can't control the hotels in Vegas, right? They want to be able to have that, National being able to get a little bit cheaper for the vendors and other people during the VIPs and stuff like that. The casinos all run the hotels in Vegas. They'll never be able to do that. So that's one thing that sucks about it. Probably will never go out there. Never say never, but there's so many different logistical things that go into where it's going. As much as we want it to be other places, I just want to be there. I just want to be there amongst everybody else. I honestly can be in Chicago for the next decade. I don't care, because you can get out of Chicago really easily. Hotels all right there. Everything's there. And we know how it is. And there's two baseball teams that hopefully one of them is playing at some point during that week.
Yep.
If you're a Yankee fan this coming week,
all week,
you're in luck, because they're in Chicago all week playing the White Sox at the front of the week. I know Alex is going Tuesday. I'm going Tuesday. And then they play the Cubs in Wrigley on the back end of the week. The back end of the week, I'm sure Alex and Victor will agree what I'm about to say. That's when things get real busy for us, even after the show closes. So it'll be tricky, but Tuesday's perfect because the show's not officially open yet. And I'm going to be there early, and so
a lot of the Cubs games are actually day games too.
Yeah, that's right during the show. So
I heard a podcast episode by Brett from Stacking Slabs. Well-informed young man, but he was making a solid case for Indianapolis. Yep. And he was saying how Indianapolis can handle a National. He made a really strong case.
Right. I had to sit down with the Road to the National with Sports Cards Nonsense and with Ryan, I Saw Sasquatch. He lived in Indy for so long and everything else. He loves Indy, and he made a plea for it. How many times has the Final Four been in Indy? How many times has so many things been in Indy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, what are you doing?
No, I'm turning my microphone volume keeps.
He's turning the auto tune on. He's turning the auto tune on. That's what he's doing.
I thought you were petting it.
Good microphone. I'd like to see it in Seattle, even though that would be one hell of a trip for me from New York. I've never been. I've I've heard stuff about Seattle. I've seen stuff on TV. I think it could be done there. I know they have a convention center. It'd be a West Coast national. There was a comment, a few comments back about having 2 nationals a year. I'm not for that. I think one, and here's what I get. Chicago is the favored venue by the dealers, by a lot of collectors. It's centrally located. I'm not going to argue that. It's true. What I like to see, so have it twice in Chicago, like back to back, then have it in 2 different cities the next 2 years, and then have it come back to Chicago for 2 years. So it's in Chicago for half the nationals. That's what I'd like to see. So you get 2 Chicago nationals, then 2 different city nationals, then back to Chicago for 2 more. That's what I would propose. I also, like we talked about, I'd like to see, you got to give the dealers a voting, because they're the backbone of the show, right? I think we all agree on that. Yep. Whether you want to weight it 60, 70%, then you let collectors get that other 30, 40%. And if for some reason the collector's vote is very strong to a city where the dealer's pick majority doesn't win, then it is what it is, right? Majority, or however the rules are, then that dealer has a choice. Like, let's say the collectors vote Seattle, we'll just use that. And that dealer says, man, I was going to go to Chicago, but Seattle, that's too much for me. Then that opens up a spot for somebody out. Like it's your option, right, to go. Just like it is for collectors. Like, not everyone's going in a national this year that went last year. Some people are not going this year. And that same thing with dealers. Like, if it's too much, you have to make a business decision,
now,
right?
In the last decade, they have changed locations. We went to Cleveland and we went to Atlantic City. Now, in the last decades, which shows have been kind of like the most inconvenient ones? Well, the one in Cleveland and the one in Atlantic City. And
I liked it. I could drive it.
You're biased.
But I tell you what,
I am biased.
One of the things, I know we're going to wrap it up quick, but one of the things I want to talk about is, like, I mean, there's a whole international section at the National this year. There is a whole area of international sellers that are going to be there. Listen, people, if they can fly, drive, whatever they're doing, take the boat over to come to the National, you guys too. I tell everyone the same thing. The National next year is a year from next week. Start budgeting now. You know when it is. It's the last week of July every year. Start budgeting.
And we know where it is. We know where it is. So, you might not be able to get your hotels that quick or whatever, or your flights, but you can put that money to the side and save up. And then you're going to be there next year. People can come from Germany. People are coming from Japan. People are coming from Africa, from all over the place. I'm really excited to see the international booth area.
I am too.
I love the Nationals doing that.
Here's a question, and I have an answer for this. Babuza says, how do I hide money from the wife? Well, how do I do it? I'll answer that question because I do it. So who better, right? I have a business account, which is like when I set up shows as a dealer, my content creation generates some funds. So that's where, so when I go to the National, it doesn't come out of my joint account. It comes out of that business account. But start a savings account I'm not trying to get you divorced. But even if you don't have a business, start a savings account in just your name and that sort of thing.
Listen, whatever you're going to budget for that month, buy a card that amount, right? And then just put those cards aside. Now they're sitting there. She doesn't know that's the money. And then sell them 2 months prior to the National start, and then you got your money.
As Mike Petty says, don't tell her. That's another option. But remember, this stuff all has potential repercussion. It's funny, when I set up at a show, I got to give my wife credit. She never asked me, like, how much money did you make? She'd just say, how was the show? And I'll say, good, great, okay, not good. She never asked me. So I appreciate, I'm fortunate that, and she knows that all that stuff doesn't come out. If I buy cards, when I bought my Jackie rookie 3 or 4 years ago, that didn't come out of our joint money. That was me making that purchase with that account. So, but in marriage, honesty is the best policy, and in life.
Yeah,
too. So I'm not.
Don't take any advice from me. I'm twice divorced. So yeah, we'll leave that with us. Just say it.
Yeah, I'm only married once, and I joke with my wife. I only will be married once.
So you got caught with the card money twice.
No, I had to sell all my stuff because she couldn't. We didn't have a job. She didn't have a job to help, for the family. So I was like, "You're kicking the sheets because I can't keep selling my cards off, on my big cards." But no, no, it's other situation stuff. But that's the reason why there's not going to be a third, because I'm not going to get in there. That's how I'm able to do all this stuff that I do right now.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're coming down we're past. We're in a little bit of overtime. I want to announce this. All three of us will be there. We will be, Saturday, which is a week from today, will be 10 a.m. Chicago time. We'll be live on stage with a Hobby Hotline episode. As we're blessed, and we've been blessed to be. I don't know how many we've done up there now, Victor. Probably 5 or 6.
Yeah,
maybe I might have missed one, but every year we've been have gotten a stage time. So they've kind of gave us sort of our normal time slot, because we are on at 10 a.m. Chicago time. So we will be. I do not know where it will be live stream. I'm not sure. I think it'll be live stream. I don't know. Maybe Alice can answer this. On the Nationals live stream feed, I believe. So
yeah, they're going to be putting the information out, or the live stream for the stage.
Hey, Alex, now that technology has evolved, do you think they can collaborate that live stream with our channel?
You think they should be able to, as all it is logging into, and then putting it on there. I'm not 100% sure.
Maybe that's a page we need to churn, John.
The individuals.
Yeah, I'll be there early. So I'll track down someone from the powers that be and just find out how the process works, and being there early, if it can be done, we can get that done early. Maybe we'll be all set. But worst case, if you're not at the National and you want to see that main stage, it'll be somewhere live streamed, and I'll put that on our social medias and all that. So if you follow the show on social media, I'll get that information out. If you're not going, if you are going, we want to look out from that main stage and seeing as many of you out there in front of us. We try to make it interactive. Someone will go out into the audience with a microphone and take some questions for the panel that be. The three of us will be up there along with some of our other co-hosts that you don't see particularly today as well. So I enjoy it. It's no matter how many times we do it, it's still fun. It's still a privilege and an honor to get to do it. Look, one of my highlights of the National each year, and get to hang out with you guys as well. So it's always a good time. So with that being said, Victor, do you go in with I have a list of 10 cards I'd love to add to my PC. I know the 10 cards are not in the budget to buy them all. I'm hoping to get 3 or 4. I'm Victor. For those that don't know, I'm Victor's good luck charm. Whenever I'm walking with him, he spends the most money. I don't know if that's a good luck charm or a bad bank account guy. Do you have a list?
No, I think I'm going to play. I've had lists all the time except for last year. Last year, I just went Free Willy, and I had the best time just doing it Free Willy. So I think I'm going to do more of the same. Hopefully I can grab you for an hour or two. We can walk around.
Go to the Rent-A-John booth. I forgot the table number, but
yep.
So Alex, I know you're a Pat Tillman guy. Is there Tillman that's at the front of your list that you're looking for, or you just sort of go in open-minded and whatever?
I have the list that I have is I have it broken down of what parallels and stuff that I need for the certain rainbows and everything of Tillman. Some of the bigger ones, like the newest one, Manga, that came out, those inserts are just out of my price range. So for me, it's like finding the ones that one have Tillmans, because a lot of people don't put them out. They're never out. Everyone hoards them. Yay. And so that makes the hunt fun, a lot more fun. But and then it's just other basic, I'm always trying to upgrade, some certain rookies that I have and everything, some iconic ones. So, whatever I can spot. So, but a lot of times when I'm there, when I'm not looking at cards, I'm talking to individuals. I'm, with being being one of the correspondents for the national, I'm going around and I'm going to be reporter on the ground, talking to people about their stories, how they got certain cards, everything else, blah, blah, blah. So if anyone out there is, listening, they see me, stop me, especially if you have a story. If you have a story you want to be told, like maybe you got passed down a card, maybe you're doing this because of something else and everything else, and you want to talk to me. I'm gladly, use my voice in so many different ways to get your story out there if you want. Or if you just want to talk about it, you don't want to put it on camera, I'm there too for that. Right. I'm always all for just chatting it up, especially meeting new people.
Hey, can we talk about true rookie cards? I'm kidding.
All right, guys, listen, we're it's Saturday. I'll be there Tuesday. I know a lot of people coming Wednesday, so we're just a few days away. I want to wish everyone going to the show safe travels and smooth sailing or flying or driving. Enjoy the show. Like Alex said, I echo that, right? If you see me, come shake a hand. Love to meet people, talk the hobby, talk life. When you get my age, stuff even if you don't want to know it. It's just one of those things that comes with age and whatnot. So again, hope to see many of you in Chicago, many of you next Saturday, maybe right in front of us when we do this very show. So everyone out there, that chat room, as always, we appreciate you. We love you. If you're listening to us even after the fact, maybe can't catch us live, you work on a Saturday, but you're still devoting time to the show at a later time, we appreciate you as well. So we'll see you here hopefully in a couple days, and we'll see you in a week for sure. Thanks, everybody.
Later.